Live from the GMN.
Good night, Montreal. I'm CJ Waterhouse. Tonight we'll break down Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault's exit, plus the province's new cost of living tax relief and a mild 25-degree night with a breezy southwest wind. And that feel-good kicker, 500 random acts of kindness. Jeff Laflamme, I know you've got thoughts on this one. Just a quick reminder, GMNA presenters' speech and some images are AI-generated. Content may contain errors, verify important information.
The city just logged 500 random acts of kindness in a single day, everything from coffee purchases for strangers to spontaneous park cleanups, truly uplifting.
I heard you were skeptical about the numbers, Jeff, but those volunteers really turned downtown into a feel-good flash mob, no doubt brightened many mornings.
Beyond smiles, local charities reported increased donations after the wave, and the mayor's office plans to replicate the model next summer across all boroughs.
All right, let's get into it and see how this kindness surge ties into today's community agenda, starting with the new pedestrian-only streets this summer. Good night, Montreal. Here are the top stories shaping our week, from the City Council's new housing plan to the breakthrough in renewable energy. Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault announced today he will leave federal politics and resign from the Liberal caucus. Speaking in Montreal, the Liberal MP said his decision stems from deep frustration with Prime Minister Mark Carney's recent reversal of climate and energy policies. Guilbeault, who served as Canada's Environment Minister under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, has long been a prominent climate activist. He warned that the new direction threatens the progress made on emissions reductions and jeopardizes Canada's commitments under international agreements. The announcement made on May 26, 2026 marks a rare departure for a senior cabinet figure and underscores growing tension within the governing party over environmental strategy. Political analysts say his exit could reshape the Liberal approach to climate policy moving forward. Party leaders say they will meet this week to discuss a replacement and to reaffirm their climate commitments.
The Quebec government announced a new cost of living tax relief package aimed at easing household budgets. Premier François Legault's administration will cut the vehicle registration fee by $50 and eliminate the provincial sales tax on a list of grocery and household items. The measures take effect on July 15, 2026, giving Montreal residents immediate relief as inflation pressures persist. Officials say the registration reduction and tax removal are components of a broader provincial strategy to curb rising expenses and support families. While the exact items exempt from tax were not detailed, the move signals a focused effort to lower everyday costs. The $50 cut eases annual registration costs, while the tax exemption on essentials aims to blunt rise impacts for shoppers in the province overall. The relief is expected to benefit thousands of drivers and families across the province.
Montreal police seized about 40 stolen vehicles at the Port of Montreal on May 26, marking a decisive blow against an organized theft ring. The Service de Police de la Ville de Montreal, working with port authorities, intercepted the convoy as it prepared to leave the terminal. Officials said the operation targeted a network that had flooded the city with hot-wired cars, and the haul represents one of the largest single recoveries in recent years. Investigators plan to trace each vehicle back to its original owners and to pursue the suspects behind the scheme. The coordinated effort, described by officials as a major law enforcement success, underscores a renewed focus on curbing vehicle theft across the province. Authorities will continue to monitor the port and surrounding areas for further illegal activity.
Police investigators from the Montreal Police Arson Unit are probing a blaze that erupted at a downtown used car dealership on May 25, 2026. The fire, which appears to have been intentionally set, ripped through the lot, damaging several vehicles and leaving the property in a charred state. While the dealership owners have not been identified publicly, the SBVM confirmed that the incident is being treated as a suspected arson, with motive still unknown. Investigators are canvassing the surrounding area, gathering witness statements and securing surveillance footage in an effort to pinpoint the source of ignition. The scale of the damage has prompted a significant police presence, underscoring the seriousness with which the department is handling the case. No injuries were reported, but the incident raises concerns about targeted attacks on commercial properties in the city.
Quebec is moving to bar energy drinks from anyone 16 years old or younger, a proposal the Provincial Health Ministry unveiled on May 26, 2026. The legislation would forbid retailers across the province, including Montreal, from selling high-caffeine beverages to minors. Officials say the measure targets growing concerns about heart rate spikes, sleep disruption, and anxiety among young people who consume these drinks. Health officials argue that limiting access now could curb long-term health risks and set a precedent for broader public health actions ahead of the upcoming election season. Critics worry about personal choice and the impact on local businesses, but supporters point to successful age restriction models for tobacco and alcohol. The proposal will now head to the National Assembly for debate, with proponents hopeful it could become law before the next election cycle. Later we'll hear how a hit and run on Notre Dame Ouse snarled traffic, plus the cost of living tax relief update. Stay tuned, we will be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for staying with us. Up next, Jeff Laflamme brings you the latest local stories you need to know.
The hit and run on Notre Dame Ouse near de Lorimier Avenue has turned a routine rush hour commute into a gridlock nightmare. On May 26, 2026, an unidentified driver collided with a street pole, then fled, leaving the pole lying across the lane. The obstruction forced traffic to back up for several kilometers, delaying drivers heading downtown and cutting off access to nearby cafes and shops. Montreal police are now investigating the incident and have cordoned off the site while tow trucks work to clear the debris. Commuters are being advised to seek alternate routes along St. Laurent or to use public transit, as the jam is expected to linger well beyond the usual peak. Patience among residents has been tested, with many posting updates on social media to warn neighbors of the delay. The episode underscores how a single reckless act can ripple through the city's daily rhythm.
About 100 tents now line the sidewalks of the Notre Dame encampment, a sharp rise that city officials say reflects growing homelessness as summer approaches. The makeshift village, situated just steps from the historic basilica, has expanded rapidly over the past weeks, prompting concern from the Montreal administration about safety, sanitation, and the impact on nearby residents. Neighbors report increased noise, litter, and difficulty accessing storefronts, while social services struggle to meet the seasonal shelter demand. City representatives warned that the swelling camp could strain municipal resources and affect community cohesion. Advocacy groups urge immediate outreach and affordable housing solutions, emphasizing that many of those living in the tents are families seeking stability. As the temperature climbs, the city faces pressure to balance compassion with public health and neighborhood quality of life.
Starting this summer, the city will close 7 downtown and neighborhood streets to vehicle traffic, turning them into pedestrian-only corridors. The initiative, announced by Mayor Valérie Plante's administration, includes routes in Villeray and several central corridors that many residents use on their way to work, school, or a weekend market. By removing cars for the warm months, the city hopes to boost foot traffic for local cafes, boutiques, and farmers markets, while encouraging more residents to walk or bike instead of drive. Planners say the move is part of a broader summer mobility plan aimed at improving walkability across Montreal. For families looking for a safer place for children to play or commuters seeking a calmer commute, the new pedestrian zones could become a daily shortcut and a pleasant respite from traffic congestion.
An uncovered hole in a sidewalk on Boulevard Saint Laurent in Milan turned into a safety hazard on May 22, 2026, when a series of pedestrians slipped and fell. The opening appeared amid an ongoing public works project, yet city crews left the area unguarded and failed to install temporary barriers. Local residents reported that at least 3 people suffered bruises and 1 required medical attention after the incident. Community members have taken to social media, accusing the City of Montreal and the Borough of negligence, saying the lack of timely repair and supervision endangers the neighborhood's heavy foot traffic. The city's Public Works Department confirmed the hole was identified but said resources were stretched thin. Officials now say they will reassess safety protocols and prioritize the repair to prevent further accidents.
The tax office in Montreal has ordered a Radio Canada journalist to settle a bill of $112,000 in back taxes after a lengthy assessment of previous filing years. The decision, handed down by Revenu Quebec on May 26, follows a contest that the journalist raised against the original notice. While the case involves a single media professional, the ruling underscores how even well-known public figures are not exempt from the province's tax obligations. For ordinary Montrealers, it serves as a reminder to keep records straight and respond promptly to any assessment, lest interest and penalties accrue. The journalist now faces the practical task of arranging payment, a situation that could affect future reporting schedules if financial pressures mount. The case also highlights the importance for freelancers and contractors across the province to review their own filings, especially as tax rules evolve each year.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see what tonight's weather has in store.
Right now, the city is feeling a mild 25 degrees with a mainly clear sky. Humidity sits at 44%, and a steady breeze from the southwest pushes at about 30 kilometers per hour, giving a slight chill on the night. The UV index earlier reached 7, so the daytime was bright, but tonight the sky stays clear. Tonight's low will dip to around 14 degrees, a comfortable drop after today's high of 30. The sun set just after 8:29 this evening, a later sunset that reminded us of early summer. No rain is expected through the night, so you can keep the windows open if you like. The calm conditions make it a good night for a late-night stroll or a rooftop chat. If you're heading out later, the light breeze will feel refreshing rather than biting. Overall, it's a pleasant night to unwind after a warm day. Let's now glance at the 5-day outlook. Looking ahead, the next 4 days bring a mix of cooler air and a chance of rain. Wednesday will see a high of 22 degrees and a low around 11, with an overcast sky that keeps the sun hidden. Thursday stays similar, high 18 and low 11, still overcast but dry. Friday brings a slight warm up to 20 degrees at its peak, then drops to 9 overnight, and the clouds will finally break with a 60% chance of rain in the afternoon. Saturday turns cooler, with a high of 12 and a low of 7, and a gentle drizzle may linger, bringing a 45% chance of rain. The temperatures swing from the warm Friday afternoon to the chilly Saturday night will feel noticeable, so you might want to keep a light jacket handy. That's the picture for the coming days, giving you a clear sense of what to expect.
Up next, traffic updates after the Notre Dame Jam, a look at today's top stories and this week's Chamber Spotlight. We will be right back.
The Canadiens fell 3-2 in overtime to the Hurricanes on Tuesday, dropping the Eastern Conference Final to 2-1 series deficit. That puts Montreal on the brink of a must-winning Game 4 on Saturday, where a victory would even the series and force a decisive fifth. In MLS, CF Montreal salvaged a point with a 4-4 draw against DC United, leaving the club at 4-1-5 on the season and still clinging to a playoff berth. Their next test comes in the Canadian Championship against Vancouver FC on the 8th of July. Meanwhile, the Alouettes stumbled in their opening week, losing 25-17 at the hands of Saskatchewan, leaving them winless at 0-2 and desperate to halt the slide before facing Hamilton on the 4th of June. Each of those games shapes a pivotal stretch as Montreal's teams fight to stay relevant.
On a crisp spring Saturday, the streets of the Plateau Mont-Royal buzzed with volunteers clutching reusable bags, while in Verdun, a small park filled with strangers sharing fresh croissants. From Milan's colorful murals to the bustling corner of St. Laurent, the love movement sparked 500 spontaneous acts of kindness in just 24 hours. I watched Hanny Hallel hand a steaming bowl of soup to a homeless man whose eyes lit up, then turned to a young mother slipping a bouquet of wildflowers into her stroller without a word. Across the city, a teenager left a handwritten note on a commuter's subway seat, and an elderly couple paid for the coffee of the person behind them. Each gesture rippled, turning ordinary corners into moments of surprise and connection. By sunset, volunteers gathered on a rooftop in the village, counting the smiles they'd sparked, realizing a single day could feel like a wave of goodwill sweeping the whole island. In that fleeting afternoon, strangers became neighbors, linked by simple acts that linger long after the day ends. That shared generosity reminds us why Montreal feels like home.
Tonight we head to the Sun Youth Center on Côte St. Lucie, where a bright afternoon turned into a celebration of quiet heroism. More than 80 youngsters from across Greater Montreal gathered, each clutching a brand new bicycle that will soon carry them beyond the center's walls. These children, between 6 and 17, earned their rides through acts of community service, organizing bake sale marathons that raised funds for the Terry Fox Foundation to stepping up as peer mentors in anti-bullying workshops. The ceremony, dubbed Heroes on Bikes, unfolded under a banner of colorful streamers, and the moment that lingered was when a 17-year-old who had coordinated a neighborhood cleanup lifted his helmet, eyes shining, and whispered, "Now I can ride my way to the next project." The bikes emblazoned with the Sun Youth logo are more than metal and rubber. They are a tangible reminder that generosity can be as simple as a pedal stroke. As the children rode away, and unsurprisingly, the center's hallway echoed with the soft whir of wheels, the promise that good deeds keep moving forward.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining me tonight. From Stephen Gilbolt's surprising departure to the city's 500 random acts of kindness, you reminded us why we stay hopeful. I'm CJ Waterhouse, and I can't wait to bring you more stories tomorrow. See you then again.